Never did I think that this moment would come. I'm actually living out of my car. I just never saw this day coming. I've been doing it since the beginning of this month. And I've had some rough nights, like it's raining. It was raining last night, so I typically could sleep with the windows down a little bit or with the windows cracked. But I didn't want, my car, it was raining so hard. I didn't want the inside of my car getting wet. So I just kind of slept in my car. Some nights are better than others. I just never thought it would get to this point. And I don't know how to feel. I don't regret moving out of my apartment. I don't know, to keep that apartment, it would require me working a job that I didn't want to work. And that's another thing. This was a result of me not wanting to work a 40 to 60 hour work week. This is a result of me not wanting to work a job that was soul draining. I just didn't want to go through it. So I had a choice. I had a choice to keep my apartment. But it was just not worth the trade-off of the energy I would have lost from working I was working this job where you have to be up at 4:30 in the morning, 12-hour shifts. Actually, it was longer than 12 hours. And then I would come home drained. I'm 35 years old, and I just feel like that strategy is not working anymore. I mean, that probably would have worked, like, in my 20s, in my early 20s, and I was all about working. At the time, I was willing to work 50, 60 hours back to back. I also was living paycheck to paycheck at the time, and I didn't really have any plans for a future or anything like that. Then I started learning about the whole FIRE movement and watched a lot of videos on finances and personal finances. And, I eventually started, actually saving money, putting away, 10% of your paycheck, 20% of your paycheck. And I thought that I was just going to work my way to financial freedom. But that probably would have taken way longer than I thought it would have taken. Like, I'd probably work until I'm almost 60. Maybe 50, I don't know. But the amount of time it would take out of me, the amount of energy it would take out of me to just work these soul-draining jobs, I just feel like it just wasn't the way to go. Now, even though I'm living out of my car, financially, I'm not like strapped for cash. Like, I do delivery part-time, and then I have a part-time job that's only 5 hours. Even though it's 5 hours, it's still, I've been doing it for like a week and a half, and it's getting to the point where it's a little soul draining. And I'm just thinking, here it is, another job. I only have to work 25 hours a week, 5 hours a day, and I'm still contemplating on leaving. I'm not going to leave, at least not yet. But I think I'm just getting really tired of working these kind of jobs. I don't think I can like take it anymore. And I hate feeling like I'm a lazy person because I don't want to work 40 hours a week or 60 hours a week. Like, I saw this opportunity to work overtime, but it's not even overtime, but to work 10 hours instead of 5 hours. I looked at it long and hard. I said, you know what? I can barely get through the 5 hours that I'm supposed to be here. And I didn't take it. I actually left work an hour early because I felt like my mind was just not there anymore, you know? Yeah, I'm just tired of feeling like I'm just a lazy person or incompetent because I don't want to work, 40 hours a week. At least not the jobs that I'm being offered. So, life has just been different. It's been a struggle. This is part of the reason why I decided to live out of my car. It's been rough. I would have kept that apartment. Like I said, it would have required me keeping a job I didn't want to work, and I didn't want to do that anymore. And I've low-key have been preparing for like this moment. I didn't think it would be something like this, like living out of my car, but there's a time I felt called to just live more minimalistically, and I started donating a lot of things I just didn't need. I got rid of my TV, my video games, like like forms of entertainment, and I used to go out to these bars and clubs, and like the bars I would play free poker and things like that. So I just felt called to stop doing a lot of things. And so I actually don't need as much to be content. So when it's time to move out and I was looking around in my apartment, I realized most of those things I didn't even need. I would have easily donated it. There are only a handful of things that I would have kept, but I ended up finding a cheap storage, so I ended up putting some stuff in there. But even in the storage, there are some things I'm probably going to end up throwing away anyway. There's a lot of stuff that I realize I don't even need. And so, here I am. I'm not really sure what's going to happen. I'm kind of like in limbo, wondering what I'm going to do for money. Like I said, I have a part-time job, but I don't know how long that's going to last. I'm trying to just look at the upside of things. Only having to work 25 hours a week is great. I get most of my day is free. But right now, financially, I'm still a little bit behind, so that's the only reason I am doing my deliveries. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing it. I'm forced to just think a bit more creatively, which is a good thing because I feel like if I were working 40, 60 hours a week, even though you may not like it, it keeps you comfortable. The paychecks keep you comfortable, and you're less likely to try to find other means of creating income for yourself. And so, since I'm not really working that many hours, I feel like I'm finding creative ways to make money where I'm not really trading my time for it. I feel like those creative juices are flowing, and that kind of clarity and creativity probably won't happen if you're always working. You don't have any time to think for yourself. No time to create. So, and there's nothing wrong with working a job. Everybody's different. I met this one guy at a Target, and he was just, a car pusher. But he had like the biggest smile on his face. Like he seemed like he was just a very positive person. I complimented him on that also. And it seems like he just loves what he does, but he also shared like, his personal struggles. Like he's really kind of been like at the bottom, so I think that's made him more appreciative of things. And now, he lives life in a way where he doesn't take things for granted. And I think that's also one of the biggest lessons I've learned from this season of like struggle, this season of survival. It's teaching me how to live with less and just be more appreciative. Actually, a couple of days ago, this lady, I was at a Platinum Fitness, and she drove right beside me, and she asked me if I had any kids at first. So I'm like, no. And then she's like, okay, well, I had some free food, and I was, just trying to see if anybody had kids who might want this stuff. I'm like, okay, well, I'll take it. I'm not going to turn down any free food. It was like perfect because like I'm sitting here like kind of struggling a little bit financially. So I'm like, okay, I'm not too good to take some free food. So, that was nice. So it's little things like that. And, this has just been a very weird journey. I don't even know what I'm going to do. I have no idea what I'm going to do. This job I'm working, all I'm thinking is, okay, it's another job that I'm thinking about quitting. And this is the part, it's hard to talk to like your family about it and maybe your old friends. There's one particular guy, I know if I told him about it, he would probably be like, oh, you changed jobs again. Another job. Or if I told them I was living out of my car, they would just probably be like, okay, you should go get a job. Go get another job. That's always been the answer. Like, just, work 2 jobs if you need to. And I'm just, like, exhausted with that. That whole idea of just working 2 jobs, it's already just making my body ache. Because I've done it before, and I just don't think I can really live life that way anymore. And I have to stop beating myself over the head about that. I have to stop feeling bad about myself just because I don't want to work 2 jobs, So I'm just sitting here trying to think of my next move. And I have some ideas in my head. I wouldn't say that I have like a whole plan or a vision lined out, but I've thought of a few things of how I can make money without having to work 12 hours a day or 40 hours a week, without having to trade my time for it. And that's the way most of us are kind of trained and programmed to believe that the only way you can make money is by trading your time for it. So I'm trying to just think beyond that. So I think there is merit in not working a full-time job or not even having a job at all, if it gets to that point. Because it kind of forces you to think differently, think creatively. If you're open to it. If you can kind of get beyond the whole like survival way of thinking, get out of survival mode and step more into creativity and trusting in your intuition. So, like I said, it has been a rough couple of nights. I mean, I'm happy that it's raining because I'm in one of the hottest cities in America. So, it is a blessing. But, I know that this is a very temporary situation. I didn't really have a plan when I decided to decided to stay in my car. Part of me, I don't want to say I couldn't afford to stay in my apartment. Like I said, I was behind, basically broke. Like it's like I have a job and I'm still broke. Like I'm financially behind and trying to catch up. And so that's the situation I was in, to the point where I was having to borrow money for rent, and there was the shame that came with that, with having to actually need help, you know. So I was always that person that tried to do it on my own and never really asked for help. And I was I got to the point where I had to just swallow my pride and let go of that ego and actually just ask for some help. So I don't know what to do. I just have like a bunch of ideas floating around in my head, but I just haven't acted on them yet. But I imagine if I end up leaving this job, I have to get over that hump, that over those beliefs that I have to work hard to get the things that I want, to get the life that I want. I think working hard towards the wrong things can be just a waste of your energy. So I think I think it's about knowing what to put your time and energy towards. I think we put our time into the wrong things. That's the problem. So I don't want to make it seem like working hard is a bad thing. Not necessarily. Some people work hard and it works for them and they're successful. That works for them. But for me, it's about aligning myself with the right energy, with the right people and opportunities and places. So it's about alignment for me. Because I notice when I'm in alignment, when I'm aligned with the right people or in the right environments, that things just naturally kind of happen for me. And I'm learning that I don't have to work so hard. So I'm trying to overcome that limited belief that I have to physically work hard to get the money that I want, the abundance I want, the life that I want. So I'm trying to just break past, that limiting belief. So that's what's been going on. It was difficult for me to make this video just because, I felt the way about putting it out there that I'm living out of my car. Like I was okay with it, but just having to tell other people about it is, kind of put me in those lower emotions. But now I almost, don't care that much because I see that it's not that bad. And as far as like any naysayers that, like I said, I haven't really told my folks about it, but if they find out about it, they find out about it. There's not really too many people who can sway me from the decision. Like I said, it's happening in real time. I'm in my car. I don't plan on really signing a new lease anytime soon. Not that I could really afford one right now. But it's just about breaking the norm for me. It's about breaking past this systematic way of living. Where you work a job, you go home, you watch a couple episodes of Netflix, and then you go to, you might scroll on Instagram or something, or you might, I don't know, just this very routine lifestyle. You're not really happy with it. You get your paycheck, you spend your paycheck on some BS, and then you do it all over again, knowing that you're not happy with your life, but you're just kind of coasting through it. And I'm just exhausted with living that way. So it makes sense why I can barely get through 40 hours a week of just working these 9-to-5 jobs. So strategy has to change. And so being in this spot where I'm living out of my car, I'm forced to just think differently and think more creatively. So I've learned a lot of lessons here. And I'm trying to just trust my intuition more. And I have to realize that most people are probably not going to agree with what I'm doing. Most people would never put themselves through something like this, or have the courage to do something like this. But I'm just trusting in something that I can't see, just trusting in my intuition. And I should expect some resistance. I should expect that most people are not going to agree with what I'm doing. I'm not saying that this is what everybody else should be doing. This is just what's in my path. It's what's right for me. So, yeah, so it's been 11 days since I moved out of my apartment. And I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I'm just going to stay open-minded and just embrace this new journey and this new version of me that is not really afraid to take risk anymore. Like, what I'm doing is, like, very risky, Like, it's taken a lot for me to do this and to talk about this on camera. But I'm happy I made the decision, and I don't regret what I did. I don't regret it. I wouldn't change a thing. This is just part of my journey, and my story is still being written. This is not the end, and I'm just gonna stay open to new opportunities and just see what comes of it. So that's pretty much it. I haven't made a video in a while. Didn't know what I wanted to talk about. Been wanting to make a video, and I've just been focused so much on work and cleaning up my finances and things like that. Trying to get acclimated with this new way of living, It's a little stuffy in here, but I don't have that many things. So my mind is drawing a blank, so I think that's pretty much it. And I will keep you guys updated.